where, one day, terror-eating creatures suddenly emerge from beneath the earth. These creatures are incredibly powerful. They can lift humans with ease and carry them away. Within just a single day, they spread across the entire world and begin destroying everything in their path. In no time, the earth is pushed toward complete devastation. But in the end, will humanity be able to survive these deadly creatures? That is what this movie is all about. The story begins in an office building in the United States, where a group of engineers work together. Like any normal day, everyone is busy with their work. However, today is special. It is Ollie's birthday, and all the employees are celebrating. Together, suddenly something strange appears on the office monitors. Horrifying creatures rising from beneath the ground. No one has ever seen such beings before, so everyone becomes nervous. Still, they don't take it too seriously at first. Soon, one by one, those creatures start moving toward the office building. To investigate, one man goes to the back side of the office. But as soon as he reaches there, a terrifying creature appears in front of him. These creatures are extremely horrifying in appearance. One of them suddenly attacks the office head and kills him on the spot. Hearing his screams, the rest of the employees panic. Within moments, several creatures invade the office. Tries to escape, but the creatures are huge and incredibly strong. One by one, they kill everyone inside the office. The scene then shifts to the outside world. In reality, these creatures have suddenly appeared all over the earth. From a distance, they look somewhat like giant bats, but their size is massive. They possess extraordinary strength and can lift humans in seconds. Their reproduction rate is extremely fast, allowing them to spread across the globe in no time. Within a few days, millions of people are killed by these terrifying beings. These creatures are very strange. They can fly in the air and also move on land. They emerge from deep tunnels and massive underground pits. Whenever they come out, they do so in large groups. Because of this, armies are deployed everywhere to stop them. Military helicopters attack the creatures from the sky, but their numbers are so large that stopping them becomes nearly impossible. Day by day, their population continues to grow, and the world slowly collapses. Homes, roads, and entire cities are completely destroyed. Eventually, the government decides to create a much stronger military force to fight back. After extensive research, they discover that these creatures are born inside massive underground pits and tunnels known as gates. Using maps, the army locates these gates and seals them as quickly as possible. Although many creatures still remain outside, the army is now fully prepared. With warships, helicopters, tanks, and heavy weapons, they launch a massive attack and eliminate the remaining creatures. The story then jumps forward 15 years now. We see a laboratory where a woman named Laura is working on a research project. One of her colleagues comes to her and asks if she has finished her work. He suggests going out to eat together. We learn more about Laura. She has a son and a husband. Though they are not officially divorced, they live separately. Every week, her husband takes their son with him. Today, her son is gone with his father, so Laura is free. At first, she refuses her colleague's offer, but eventually agrees and gets ready to go out with him. Next, we see Laura's son, James, at his college, talking with his friends. Among them is a close friend named Mia, whom James deeply cares about. James notices that Mia looks upset and asks her what's wrong. Mia says that today there is a solar eclipse, and 15 years ago, during a similar eclipse, those terrifying creatures first appeared and killed millions of people. She says she feels very scared. James laughs and reassures her, saying there's nothing to worry about. 15 years have passed, and solar eclipses have happened every year since then, yet the creatures never returned. He tells her to stop worrying and tries to cheer her up. After college, James returns home and starts playing video games. Soon, his father John arrives to take him with him, as he does every week. John loves his son deeply, even though his relationship with Laura is very bad. Laura is also at home, working in the kitchen. John tries to talk to her, but they quickly start arguing again. They can't stand each other, which is why they live separately, despite not being divorced. The scene then shifts to the army. Headquarters, the same force that fought the creatures 15 years ago. For all these years, the creatures have not been seen again. However, now strange and dangerous signals are being detected at the locations where the gates were sealed. The army had installed special devices near the gates to detect any activity. When officers go to check one of these devices, it suddenly breaks. Alarms start ringing, and red lights begin flashing. Everyone realizes that this means a serious threat that creatures may be returning. That night, while John is sleeping, his uncle Michael calls him. Michael tells John that he has sent him an address and asks him to bring his entire family there before the solar eclipse the next day. When John asks what's wrong, Michael replies seriously, saying John will understand everything once he arrives. Meanwhile, James is watching TV when breaking news appears. The news reports strange events happening around the world: mass deaths, a fish in the oceans, and other unusual signs. People begin to suspect that the terrifying creatures may be returning, as similar signs appeared 15 years ago. The government urges everyone to remain alert. Soon after, Laura calls John in panic. She demands that he bring their son back immediately, saying she doesn't trust him in such dangerous times. John calmly assures her that James is safe, but Laura refuses to listen and angrily insists on getting her son back. When John goes to check on James, he realizes that James is not in his room. Shocked, John hangs up the call. Laura immediately understands that something is wrong and becomes extremely worried. At that moment, Laura's colleague William arrives, tells her not to panic, and explains that he has arranged a safe shelter with food and supplies. Urges her to come with him, but Laura refuses, saying she will not go anywhere without her son. William quickly tracks James's phone and discovers his location. It turns out James has gone to meet Mia, the girl he secretly loves. After seeing the news, he rushed to her. They are lying in an open field, talking, when suddenly they look up and see hundreds of birds flying wildly in the sky. Terrified, they start running. Other people in the field also panic and flee, and with this, the danger begins once again. Seeing all this, everyone realized that the return of the creatures was now very close. Meanwhile, James and Mia were running away. James's father, John, arrived at the spot. As soon as he saw his son, he hugged him tightly because he was extremely worried about James's safety. John then decided to take James and Mia away from there. At the same time, Laura and William reached the location by tracking James's mobile phone. When Laura saw James, she felt immense relief and happiness. She asked John and Mia to get into her car, and all of them started heading toward a safe place together. William was driving the car toward a shelter home. On the way, John asked where they were going. Laura replied that William was taking them to a shelter home where they would be safe. But John immediately refused and said they should not go to any shelter home. He explained that his uncle Michael had already prepared a safe place for them and had sent him the address. According to John, that place was the safest option. This led to an argument between Laura and John inside the car. Eventually, Laura's decision was followed, and they continued toward the shelter home. When they arrived, they saw that the shelter home was already overcrowded. A huge number of people had gathered there to stay safe. It wasn't even space to stand properly. The army announced that the shelter was completely full and no one else could enter. Despite Laura's repeated requests and pleading, the army refused to let them in. Helpless and distressed, they were forced to leave the shelter. On the way back, Laura became even more anxious. John then suggested going to the address sent by his uncle Michael, but when he checked his phone, he realized that the message containing the address had been deleted. James and Mia tried calling Michael multiple times, but he didn't answer. Panic spread among them because only 10 minutes were left before the solar eclipse. They had to reach a safe place within those 10 minutes, otherwise the creatures would attack them. They reached the city highway and got out of the car after noticing a large group of birds flying in the distance, but soon they realized these were not birds. It was the same terrifying creatures rapidly approaching them. People around them started running in fear. John quickly told everyone to get back into the car and started driving. At that moment, William began arguing with John, saying the car belonged to him and that he would decide where they would go. He even blamed John for failing to secure a place in the shelter. The argument turned into a physical fight suddenly. A creature swooped down from above, grabbed William, and flew away with him. At the same time, the solar eclipse was completed. This meant the creatures had crossed the gates and spread throughout the city. John immediately told everyone to get into the car and drove them toward a safer area. He declared that no matter what, they must leave the city. On the way, they saw the entire city filled with creatures destroying houses, roads, and everything around them. However, the road out of the city was still long, and their car was running out of fuel. John became extremely worried, realizing that they would have to stop somewhere, and if that happened, the creatures could easily attack them. Mia then asked an important question. What was the connection between these creatures and the solar eclipse, and how did they suddenly appear in such huge numbers? She explained that 15 years ago, when the creatures first arrived, it was also on the day of a solar eclipse. The most surprising thing was that they stayed on Earth for only one day and then completely disappeared for the next 15 years. Laura added that after the incident 15 years ago, many theories were formed. One theory suggested that God had sent these creatures to Earth to punish humans for their sins, as evil had increased greatly in the world. Otherwise, if these creatures were so dangerous, why did they come only for one day and then vanish entirely? However, no one knew how true this theory was. Soon after, the car stopped completely because the fuel had run out. Now they needed to find another vehicle. John asked everyone to stay inside the car while he went out to look for another one. He spotted 3 cars nearby. 2 of them contained dead bodies. When John approached the third car, he noticed a man hiding nearby. That man explained that the car belonged to him and that a creature was nearby, attacking and killing people. The creature was currently feeding on the dead bodies. As the creature slowly moved toward their car, John and the man crouched down and hid. Luckily, the creature didn't notice them. John carefully pushed his car closer to theirs and signaled Laura and the others to quietly get into the new car. They managed to do so. Just as John was about to start the car, the creature noticed them and charged forward. At that moment, the man jumped out of the car and threw salt at the creature. Although it didn't seriously harm the creature, it slowed it down for a moment. Sadly, the creature attacked the man and killed him. Terrified, John started the car and escaped with everyone. After driving a long distance, John finally received contact from his uncle Michael and got the address. They immediately headed toward the safe location. They arrived at a small house with a closed door. Everyone knocked repeatedly, but no one answered, and there was complete silence inside. Fear took over, because they had no other safe place left. Inside the house, Michael was present, along with a soldier named Henry, who was pointing a gun at Michael to prevent him from opening the door. Henry didn't want anyone else to enter. Outside, John and his family kept shouting. Suddenly, strange sounds echoed from afar. Looking up, they saw thousands of creatures flying toward them from the mountains. Panic spread instantly as fighting. Such a massive number was impossible. John tried breaking the door to protect his family, but failed. He prepared himself to face the creatures. Just as the creatures reached them, Michael finally opened the door, and they all rushed inside. Michael hugged John and apologized for opening the door late, though he didn't explain why. John also met Michael's wife, Stella, who welcomed everyone. Michael introduced Henry, explaining that he would be staying with them. Henry said he was part of the Army's Special Forces, but got separated from his team during the attack. Since Michael was his father's friend, he already knew about this safe place and came directly here. John handed Henry a gun, although he felt a bit suspicious. Soon, Michael invited everyone to eat. Outside, hundreds of creatures surrounded the house, trying to break in. But the house was specially built for human safety and was strong enough to withstand their attacks, feeling relatively safe. Everyone sat down and discussed the events from 15 years ago. Henry shared that when the creatures first arrived, he witnessed many people being killed. Many of his fellow soldiers were eaten alive, survived only because he fell into a drain filled with salty water which the creatures could not tolerate. Well, Henry was talking. Michael signaled John to pick up a knife. John realized Henry might not be trustworthy. As the conversation continued, a snake-like creature entered the house through a small pipe. John suggested playing cards with Henry to distract him and take his gun. But Henry suddenly pointed the gun at John and accused them of plotting against him. A fight broke out. James tried to grab the gun but was pushed to the ground. Mia told everyone to stay quiet, warning that noise would attract the creatures. Suddenly, the snake-like creature attacked Stella and began choking her. Michael tried to save her. James threw salt, but it didn't work. John managed to grab Henry's gun and fired, but the creature moved too fast. It then charged toward